Welcome back to Rubber Ducking Podcast, everyone. I am your host, Charles.
And I'm your co-host, Mike.
Yeah, welcome, Mike. As usual, let's talk about my story.
Uh-huh.
So what a long journey, right? As we're talking about my story on the other episodes, and also. If anybody's joining right now, please check out Rubber Ducking Podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Or anywhere you get your podcast. We're everywhere.
Right, exactly, yes. So we do have that, and there is I think 30 episodes now. Most likely 30 episodes,
Wow.
explaining my life story from literally North Korea to America, escaping twice.
Quite the chronicle.
You'll spend countless days listening to it.
Uh-huh.
So today I just wanted to talk about my story, focused geared towards more in America. The very first thing that I did when I came to America was to go to high school, right? So I just wanted to share my experience
Wow.
in high school as a North Korean kid.
And you're how old now?
I'm at 18 at this point.
Wow.
Yeah.
Going to high school in which grade?
Freshman.
Freshman in high school is 18.
18-year-old.
All right, let's hear it. I'm excited.
Yeah, so as you may know, I've shared in my previous podcast that I dropped out of school in North Korea when I was 9 because my mother was ill and I had to nurse her. Therefore, I didn't get much chance to go to school. So when I came to America, I told my social worker using Google Translator that I wanted to go to school, right? I wanted to be educated.
Wait, so they weren't necessarily suggesting you go to school? You asked for
I
it?
asked for it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I asked that I want to enroll in school because technically I was 18, therefore I could not enroll in high school.
Oh, is that the
Yeah,
rule?
that's the law.
Oh,
I mean,
didn't
it's
know
a law.
that.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's like adult is going with high school with a bunch
Yeah,
of minors.
right.
That's
typically that's weird.
Yeah. But yeah, because I was refugee,
Uh-huh.
and I also arrived in America just in time, right?
Right.
Just in time.
As a minor.
And therefore I still consider what if you graduate a little late, right? I mean, there is some exceptions to it.
Yeah,
Right?
right,
I think there is some exceptions to it. Like adults going, to high school as 18-year-old.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, I did not feel like my classmates were, a little kids. They
Yeah.
were big. They had mustache. And they were so big, man. I was really intimidated to go to school because, well, there's cultural differences, right?
Yeah.
Like when I was in North Korea, when you go to school, you have to wear uniforms. Right.
Oh yeah.
You have to wear
right.
uniforms, and of course, it was winter. Therefore, there is thick padding jackets, and you need to warm yourself up, right?
Yeah.
And then of course there is the big guys, and 14-year-old, 15-year-old with mustache, and just look like a rocking the dad bod, And,
yeah, that's American high school,
Yeah,
I know.
and it was very shocking. And the very first thing that I did was I went to the ESL class, and Mrs. Kerr, I still remember her because she was very kind to me. And she, at one point, she learned my birthday.
Wow.
And then she bought me a cake in the classroom, and she threw a birthday party for me.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I remember. And
I mean, how is all this communication going down? Because you speak very little English at this point.
Well, probably none, right? I'm just sitting here, and then the teachers keep talking to me, and I'm just
smile and nod,
smiling and nod, smiling and nod, But yeah, so she was trying to use Google Translator, and also trying to hand gesture, and she was telling me at some point, I think she taught a class in South Korea. I think that's what I remember. She was like, oh yeah, I was in South Korea, and taught a class. Anyway, she was angel. She was so kind. And my gym teacher, Hansen, But yeah, he was the one who used the most Google Translator, right? Because like, oh yeah, I'm not trying to communicate. You know, I'm not trying to like, you know, use all this kind of hand language. Just
That's
like,
interesting because gym class, you would think that you could just get by doing the things that are physical, but you have to. What were you trying to communicate to the
well,
gym
I mean, in
teacher?
the very first like class, like
I
when I
see.
arrived, right? Somebody, I can't remember who, but somebody did drop me off because like early, like I think it's called zero period. I had a gym class as zero period, right?
Oh, that sucks.
And yeah, and also that was the most interesting thing too. Like you have to go to different class.
Oh, right.
Like you have to walk to different class,
That's
right?
right, yeah.
Whereas in North Korea, we have one classroom with one teacher that is teaching all subjects.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And-
So that's true still for the grade schools in the United States. But what is different is that in Asia, I think up until high school, at least in Korea, South Korea, the teachers rotate. You stay in your homeroom classroom. Yeah. So I don't know how it works in North Korea. I guess we'll have to ask somebody who did attend.
Go to high school in
Yeah.
North Korea. Because I think I've went up until middle school. Yeah. And I've never been to like high school.
Oh, so the middle school was the same? That the same one teacher? All the
right,
way?
right. One
Oh.
teacher all the way. Cause
That did change for me in middle schools. The middle schools that you stay in the class, but the teachers do rotate depending on the subject.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is no different teacher. Like one teacher.
Interesting.
Just like, I mean, there is nothing to teach in North Korea. I mean, like to be honest,
Actually,
like,
let's talk about that a little bit. So
Yeah.
before we dive into the American education, just a contrast.
Right,
Although it's
right.
middle school to high school, but
right.
like, what are the subjects like?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's gotta start with like Kim Il Sung and Kim Jong Il's history,
Of
right?
course, yeah.
So we have about 6 subjects in school.
Uh-huh.
So of course, like the Google, right? So it's Korean, math, music, art, Kim Il Sung and Kim Jong Il's history,
Dang.
and it goes like I think it goes like a 1편, 2편, like, you know, like a
it's multiple
yeah,
books
multiple
on it.
right.
Oh, wow.
And also like every single subject has something to do with literally hating America or like going to rescue South Koreans from Americans.
Wow.
Like literally, I'm not kidding. So even in a 도화 공작, right? Do you know what 도화 공작
No, I
is?
do not. What is that?
So 도화 공작 is an art class where you draw, you make something
Like
with
arts and crafts. Like,
arts and
yeah,
there you go,
uh-huh.
arts and crafts. And they encourage you to draw like a North Korean soldier shooting down an American plane, right, with crayons.
And how old are you?
8, 9.
That's what the teachers are encouraging you to draw.
And whenever
Interesting,
you're like
okay.
building something, right, you're building like ships and cars.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And actually, funny story, when I came to America, like, you know, I'm really good at origamis, right? Because that's what I learned in North Korea, like airplanes, you know, and tanks and cars and boats.
Okay.
And my mother-in-law was just fascinated, right? She was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you can make like all of those."
Well, you can actually origami a tank.
I can, yeah, yeah, I can origami a tank.
Right, that sounds like another
And
good live stream content.
Yeah, and also handgun too. I can origami
A little origami pistol.
Yeah, origami pistol.
No way.
Yeah.
Actually, I was part of origami after school class too.
Interesting.
For a little while.
Hey, let's have a
and I can tell
competition.
you for sure there was none of that weaponry going
Okay.
on for a 9-year-old, 8-year-old. So
Okay,
that's
all right.
wild.
North Korea versus South Korea. Let's go origami competition.
Well, I mean, if we fought the war with the origami weapons, it sounds like North Korea would win.
they're because they've got more wider version of weapons to
Yeah,
use.
and we would
right?
have flowers, frog. you know,
Right,
like,
right, yeah.
nothing against the pistol. But anyways, that's really funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, school system. Like, I'm not sure. Like, I can't say for like all of the
Of course.
like the grades, but
Mhm.
at least up until the middle school, like that's like what you have to learn is Kim Il Sung and Kim Jong Il's history embedded in every single subject.
Wow, very
right?
heavy brainwashing.
Very
then.
heavy brainwashing, and even like going up until high school, right? And I think they have to take Kim Il Sung and Kim Jong Il's history. Right? There's like a
Mm.
multiple levels of
I
the
see.
history that you have to learn.
And just for the listener context, and you talked about this before, is that we're not talking about like accurate history here.
No,
right?
no,
just
no.
a lot of made up stuff.
No, it's completely made up. You know how Kim Jong Il was actually born in Russia, right? He
Oh,
was
yeah,
born
yeah,
and raised
yeah.
in Russia,
Uh-huh.
and at some point he came back to North Korea. But now we freaking have a mountain that actually engraved a name called 정일봉, right? Which is the memorial, like a, and then there is a house underneath it that he was born in like North Korea.
They even, not just the textbook they're making up stuff with, just it's not just creative writing. They actually built like historical sites that's fake.
Entire historical site.
The fake history book stories.
Yeah.
Wild.
So as a kid, like, visiting that would be like your dream,
Oh, right.
like visiting the historical site of like Kim Il Sung and Kim Jong Il.
Mhm.
And also it's called Mangyongdae, right? So that's the Mangyongdae is a town where Kim Il Sung was born.
Oh, I see.
And then Jongilbong is the place where where Kim Jong Il was born. But here's the thing too. In the Pyongyang, and kids who are going to like 고등학교, which is like
that's high school, yeah.
But it's quite interesting because there is another 고등학교 that starts at 18 for 2 years.
Oh.
Yeah, in North Korea.
What is that for?
That's for like elites.
Oh.
Yeah, for elites.
I see. So people in Pyongyang?
People
like
in Pyongyang,
kind of
yeah,
okay,
yeah. And there was a movie about it too. Like they're handpicked by North Korean governments.
Oh.
And then they bring those kids into this school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have a friend who escaped from Pyongyang. So he was an elite. He was a child of an elite, and he escaped North Korea while studying abroad in China, right? And I got to meet him, and I got to talk to him, and we worked together for a bit. But he was telling me that he learned everything. Like, like everything, meaning that like South Korea is not poor, and America is still an evil, but how the capitalism works in America, and South Korea is very rich, and the truth about other countries, like how, like, so there is certain elements that expose you to the outside of the world, such as from such a young age, so that when you grow older, like you can actually be a representative of like North Korea, right?
Interesting.
And like ambassadors, for example.
Right, because they will eventually be, exposed to that. So I guess the logic must be, we'll hear from us what the reality is.
Right,
so
right,
that they
exactly.
can paint it in a way, the regime can paint it in a way that's still favorable, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Otherwise, like North Korean ambassador would just be like, oh my gosh, it's free, I don't care, Yeah,
they'll just escape right away.
Right, they would just escape right away. So there is like this carefully crafted level of like this
There's
brainwashing
narrative,
that goes
brainwashing,
into like the North Korean education system, right? And when I came to America, one of the hardest thing that I couldn't get used to is calling like Kim Jong Il like and period. Kim Il Sung.
Oh, without
period.
the honorifics.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Without.
wait, what is it?
장군님 and 수령님, dear
I
leader
see.
and great leader.
Oh, dear leader, great leader. So
Yeah.
Curious. What happens if you just say the name by itself in North Korea? Like say in public.
It almost seems like my best analogy that I can come up with is like, can you see out of your knee? No,
it's that unthinkable.
Where your eye is not there.
Wow.
Right. And also folks who are trying to, I guess it's kind of unthinkable thing, unspeakable thing, right? Because from when you're born, right, to like essentially until you die, you always have been listening Kim Il Sung, 장군님, 수령님, and you can call 수령님, right?
I see. Right, just the title. That's
just the title.
Yeah.
But for me personally, it wasn't like thinkable. I didn't have it in my mind to call like, oh yeah, Kim Jong Il.
I
like,
see.
Kim Il-sung.
Wow.
Yeah. I had to say like 장군님 or 수령님. Like,
I see.
Yeah. But I mean that's I assume somebody that's also a really interesting topic too, because that's going to take us to, I don't know how it's kind of roped into each other, but public executions, right?
Okay.
And public executions, like people, like the guards used to not gag them with a stone.
Oh.
because I mean, like, you're gonna die, right? What
Yeah.
can you do?
Right.
But at some point, these criminals, right, or like people who are good, like trying to stand up for themselves and stand up against the regime,
I see. The rebels.
the rebels,
Yeah.
and the pebbles. Sorry, but no, it's they're more of like, okay, so before they get shot, right, before they get killed, they like scream and they, call out Kim Jong Il and Kim Il Sung's name and how bad they are, and they're 욕적, right, and
right,
and
which would be the
truth,
correct,
right,
perspective on things.
Yeah, they just scream out of their their names, and that got me thinking, like, okay, so there must be people, right, adults who are, and also like I wasn't an adult when I was in North Korea,
right?
I was a teenager, so maybe there is like much more matured brain who has endured like so much of North Korean regime's retaliation and just sick and tired of listening to like how great we are and how Kim Il Sung and Kim Jong Il is doing, like sleeping 2 hours a day, because that was like the literal like documentary every single day at the same time. Like I would watch like Kim Jong Il riding on a train, sleeping 2 hours, eating like a bowl like a jmokbap, or jeogibap. They call it jeogibap because it's so small, right? It's a
so
bowl
he's
of
barely
rice.
eating, barely sleeping, working so hard for the people. That's
Right. And I can tell you one thing for sure: he's not been eating 1 meal a day.
You don't look like that.
Yeah,
especially
right.
Kim Jong Un is doing the best right now. Like he's not 1 meal a day situation.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay, so that's really wild. So kind of bringing it back, right? So contrast that to now you're going to school. I mean, did you expect that the school in America would have kind of similar but opposite kind of a propaganda here? Like, surely, was there any kind of those expectations? Or tell us, like, what were you expecting?
I mean, for sure. I honestly didn't know what to expect, to be honest, because, like, I mean, coming to America, it was just so out of my realm, it was just so out of like
seeing it out of your knee,
right? I'm trying to see it out of my knee,
right?
But it was, I would say, better than I expected, and there was so much freedom.
Like, please tell us more.
Yeah, freedom meaning like, you can't like, you need a hall pass, right? And you can, anytime when you need to go pee, you can just raise your hand and you can go pee, right? But in North Korea, it's very strict. Like, I remember when I was in my class, my teacher wouldn't allow me to go to like, bathrooms while she was teaching. Like you have to wait until the class ends, right? And the second thing, like, I mean, I didn't understand English that well to, like having to comprehensively understand like the world history,
of course,
and the U.S. history and algebra and English. But like for me, like the little things were very mind blowing. Like at the school, like the table was really interesting. And the teacher, the desks and tables, and also like the teacher was using like the overhead projectors, and writing, and there's like a big and it was mind blowing that they didn't use chalk and the blackboard. It was more like the
dry erase, like this?
expo, like this,
right?
So that was like mind blowing, and just so like sitting right in a classroom with so many different race kids, right? Especially like white people with blonde hair. I was just like mesmerized,
just spending your time staring at them.
Oh my gosh, it was just incredible. Like, think about it. Like, I was just in, well, I mean, I was in Thailand, right? And with like bunch of different people,
right?
But to think that now I am free, I'm not subjected to like confinement cells. Well, I mean, it's still a school, right? It's confinement. You have to learn.
But come on, this is not a fair comparison,
right?
Yeah, as much as students like to think that they're trapped at school and they have to go to school, but come on now.
And it's just it was just so fascinating. And then like while I was speaking a little bit more English, oh yeah, here's the one funny thing. So I think like my first day, so I think like a third or fourth period, my class was algebra, and then there was such a thing called homework, right? And my algebra teacher is like telling me, oh, you need to do this homework, right? And like bringing like writing down, and even like writing on the paper and giving it to me, and I don't get it at all.
Is
like,
it because you've never done homework, or is it just because in English? Like,
because it's in English.
Oh, I see.
Like it's in English, so you have to go to this page, and
she's giving you some numbers.
Yeah, giving me like, what do you want me to do with it? Like, I don't understand why you're giving this to me, and then he keeps saying homework.
Okay.
And then like kids are start laughing, it's like because I don't understand.
Oh, right.
It's kind of, I was embarrassed, but at the same time, yeah, I think I was more embarrassed. Like
Makes sense,
I'm like anxious, because
right.
like teacher is like, I mean, like no disrespect, and he was not being disrespectful at all. He was very kind, gentle, and he was judging the kids, just like shh, don't laugh, But kids were just like, I mean, it's hilarious. It's comical.
Come on, it's at high school. Yeah, that's generous of you. It's also high school kids, freshmen particularly. The maturity is seldomly found.
Yeah.
Fair.
And then also like going to, well, I mean, I knew when I was in Thailand, right? I knew about like, oh yeah, so Kim Jong Il like 장군, because like people still said 장군님, right? And then people still said like, even in the Thailand prison camp.
Yeah, because like, that's the habit, right? That's the culture.
Right. Old habit die hard or something like that.
Yeah.
And I learned that in Thailand that, okay, so Kim Il-sung didn't really win the war. And like America dropped the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? Twice. And then won the war. They surrendered and they retreated. And in a certain way, like I kind of refuse to believe that.
Really?
Yeah, because like no, I mean like, then what's all these things about that he like? There's guhonamu, right? So there's like a
all these historical relics.
Yeah, historical
the
relics
sites
and yeah,
and
then
the things you can go visit about the heroic acts.
Right.
Doesn't explain.
Yeah, right. It's like then what's that all about?
Right.
And yeah, I didn't want it to believe, but when I came I came to a point where, okay, it was a lie, it was.
So eventually it cracked.
Eventually it's all cracked, right? Yeah, I understood that in my hometown we were poor, and in my local governments where I know they're oppressive, right?
I see.
And I understood that, yeah, these guys are not telling the truth, and in the local regimes, like we have like propaganda music's playing every single day saying like how great we are, and I was like, no, that's not it. Like,
right.
Yeah, it's like that's not the truth. Like we're starving.
Right.
But to question the regime, right? To question Kim Jong Il and his like intention, right? I did not go there, but like coming to America and kind of like experiencing these things in high school, and now I am intentionally like questioning, okay, and then it started to like crack.
So is it true that up until like you started going to school in America, you still did not essentially question the deity of your supreme leaders?
I did not. No, wow. I was almost like, no, I am.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Well, it was
even throughout the escape journey, you still had some reverence for the top leaders of.
I mean, far back of my mind.
Right. It's not
far
something
back of
that
my
you're not praying to them every day or anything.
Right. But far back of my mind, like I
wow.
believe that it's like I am betraying my country now, right? And then like more geared towards like my local regime, right? Because that's what I have problems with, right? And also like those from the Cheongjin 도집교소, right? From the North Korean defectors detention center, like those guards, right? I was trying to like rebel against them because
I
like
see.
I'm mad, you know.
Right. So that didn't connect. It was all because of the top leaders that this was all happening.
I did not
You just
connect
thought it was a
that.
local issue.
Right. And also, you know, that's a good observation. And now like kids in North Korea,
Uh
I mean not kids anymore,
huh. Right.
millennials in North
Uh
Korea,
huh.
they understand that the local regime. They are, at my understanding, like they were the same. Like
Wow.
we are allowed, like when we gather together,
Uh
we'll
huh.
talk about like, oh yeah, so the local regime is not being truthful,
Uh
right?
huh.
The local regime is not telling Kim Jong Il or the
Uh-huh.
higher ups that we're suffering,
Uh-huh.
right? Basically, what we're thinking is
Mm.
that so the government is giving us food, rations,
Mhm.
and money, but these guys
Mhm.
are taking it for themselves.
Right.
I mean, which is like, which is true,
Yeah, I'm
but
sure
we
they are.
just like the Kim Jong Il is just far removed
Right.
from that question,
Right. That's right.
you know, and that
Yeah.
reality.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, so it leads back to like that's why we never think of calling like Kim Jong Il just
Mm.
the name itself, right?
Yeah, no,
And
that's really good insight. Like for the people who are thinking, how has North Korea not fallen yet? How come people are not rebelling against the regime yet? Because all the projection of the anger and frustration and all the tragedy, all the blame is currently going to the local government. It
right,
seems that the central government is letting that narrative perpetuate, right? Saying
right,
like, yeah,
right.
that's what's going on. We're doing fine. It's just your corrupt middle level managers who's messing things up.
Yeah.
Therefore, the regime's like, I guess,
It's,
dignity is still protected.
well, actually, they're not even saying that,
Oh,
right?
not even actively.
No. They're not
Oh.
actively saying like no. They're what they're saying is we're struggling
Uh-huh.
because of Americans. We're struggling because we need to make more weapons and more more. Instead of making candy, let's make bullet.
Uh-huh.
Like that's their motto, right?
Mm.
That was our whole identity, right? The
Mhm.
reason why we're so struggling right now is because we are just putting so much resources into
I see.
developing weapons,
Uh-huh.
right? So that we can defend against America.
So, and people believe that.
And yeah, people
Uh-huh.
believe that.
Wow.
And amongst that narrative, right? Along that narrative,
Uh-huh.
like yes, we're struggling, and you know, like, and we see like day to day like life, like while we're passing by like some government officials like house, we would
Yeah.
smell like delicious like meat smells,
I see.
and oh my gosh, they're rich,
Uh-huh.
like
So there's
and
evidence to corroborate and further increase the hate you have for
right,
the yeah.
and also sometimes like the factory gets power and the houses don't sometimes, like oftentimes,
Uh-huh. Right.
right? Because the factory needs to run, so they give power to the
Uh-huh.
factory.
Yeah.
But these guys, what they do, like the government officials, they actually steal that power and brings it to this house, right? And
Wow.
imagine in a pitch black, every house
Right. No light.
dark.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
but one house
Just lit up.
is lit up, right?
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it was yeah, so it's leading back to like like, oh, why don't people rebel against North Korean
Mhm.
regime? It's because from such a young age you're brainwashed,
right.
and you can't even call I mean, Donald Trump, nothing happens, right?
Yeah.
Barack Obama, nothing happens
Yeah,
here.
that's right.
But in North Korea, that's not a thing.
Yeah, you can't even say your president sucks, whatever.
No.
Yeah,
That's
now that would be you would be going someplace, right, in North Korea for that.
right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
exactly,
right.
exactly.
Wow.
Coming back, I guess, going around and coming back to the
That's
topic. Yeah, so I honestly loved high school. Sure, it was tough,
Yeah.
and that's sort of the place that I found out I was lactose intolerant in the hard way.
wait a minute. You did not consume lactose, so you're learning a lot of things in high school. High school
Right.
teaching you that the fake history you learned is fake.
Right.
It's teaching you that to question your brainwashing education.
Right.
It's teaching you that you're lactose intolerant because you have not had like lactose products until you got into high school and fed the school stuff. Then?
Technically, I had some ice creams in China.
Uh-huh.
Right, that's like the first time having like ice cream.
Yeah.
Like, ice cream bars actually.
Yeah, but those don't have like a lot of milk content.
I don't
guess.
think
Yeah,
so.
those,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. But
Popsicles.
yeah, but coming to America, like the chocolate milk, right? Like, especially like, after, your PE class and you get like this like a brunch hour, and I'm like
Yeah.
thirsty and I'll just get
Ooh,
this
chocolate
box
milk's
of chocolate
perfect.
milk
Yeah.
and I'll just chug it down. And then like 10 minutes later, I'm just like sweating and like clenching my fist, just like, it's been like a fifth time already,
Oh,
I
no.
asked to go to the restroom, but I still didn't know I was lactose intolerant. I thought it
Oh,
was something's wrong with me,
I see.
and then it will get better
Wow.
somehow. And I didn't know there was a lactate pill. I think until I met Maddie.
Oh, I see. I mean,
Until
I
met-
didn't know that those things existed either. Way into my adulthood, and I'm also lactose intolerant. I mean, yeah.
so you agree with me, and now
No, I feel you. I feel
Yeah.
you. Yeah. I mean, for me, it was like, I have my stomach troubles, but ice cream's just worth it. What am I gonna do?
yeah.
But anyhow, sorry, we're all over the place, but it's entertaining. Just so much rich things that other typical, like think about American high school drama, which there are so many of. Like your experience is so different, although you were there.
I was there. I did not. It
Yeah.
was like a completely like different like a zone. I was in like
Yeah.
I didn't have friends, right? Because like
Mm.
I didn't speak English,
Right, how
and I
could you
was
make
I
friends?
was shy kid, and
No Koreans.
I had one Korean person,
Uh-huh.
but she was a senior when I was a freshman.
Oh, I see.
And
I see.
she was an angel too. She was
Aw.
really sweet.
Oh, that's
she
awesome.
she took the whole day, right, whole Saturday,
Uh-huh.
giving me tutor on algebra
Just
like-
in Korean?
in Korean.
Oh, wow.
And she came to our home, right?
Uh-huh.
And she gave me this the whole algebra tour, the algebra like tutoring,
Uh-huh.
and she was so sweet. But she
Oh.
she graduated, so there was no Korean.
I see. Dang.
I did have one friend though, who was Chinese.
Uh-huh.
And we both like the K-pop, and like
Oh.
and also
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, foreign music, when you're in school age, at least in North Korea, you're listening to foreign music. You weren't
Yeah.
listening to K-pop then, were you? 'Cause
I
it
wasn't.
in
I was
there, yeah.
well. I was more of like a R&B genre.
I
right?
see.
It's like
Yeah,
this-
yeah. So you're bonding over music with your North Korean friends. Come to America, bonding over another genre of foreign music.
Yeah,
That's
with Big
that's
Bang,
fun. Oh, nice.
And I was a really good friends with him. Like he was I guess he was my only friend for the entire high
Yeah.
school year. And
Wow.
yeah, we lost contact, but I hope he's doing okay. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I mean, if he ever listened to my podcast,
Charles.
reach out, bro.
High schools have these thing called yearbooks. Did you ever get one?
I did not.
You can visit your old high school and ask for it to see it, because they typically keep an archive of one. We would love to do an episode where we just go over your yearbook. Because I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you would have been featured many times because you weren't that active in other extracurriculars, no
No.
sports,
Yeah.
anything else, right?
Mhm.
But you will at least see the photo because you took the school photos, I'm sure, right, for your school ID.
Actually, I have that photo at home
Oh,
because
you
like they
do?
gave me a preview of like, oh, get
Oh,
your
that's right. Yeah.
get your yearbook. So I
Uh-huh.
have it. Whoa, let me
Oh,
actually upload that
okay.
at YouTube too
Alright.
at some point.
That's right. Awesome. Wow. I mean, it seems that there's so much more to unpack
Mhm.
just with the schools, but I think we're close to time, aren't we?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I'm just excited we are now talking about this. I mean, we thought that, oh man, like Charles escaped, the story's over, but no,
There's a lot more to unpack.
there's
yes.
a lot
Yes,
more to
yes.
unpack. I'm really excited for
Let's
that.
go into those nitty gritties and I think I really hope that in the future coming refugees, I
Uh-huh.
can actually give them my knowledge of what was hard part, especially like foster care home, like
Yeah.
to a certain extent. I think American foster care home system is kind of broken. It's broken.
It absolutely is. Yeah, it is.
And
I mean,
and I personally did not have a good experience with foster care home because hey, I grew up orphan in North Korea. Just having a family or just having some place to stay, that means a lot, But foster care home, like
yeah.
you just have to do so little to please me,
Right.
Just so little.
Yet it did not.
Yet it did
so
not be
That's saying something.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Well-
I mean, Charles, so before we end the episode, just because you mentioned like how you want to use your experience to help perhaps more people arriving,
Mhm.
I know that you have a vision for doing that into the future. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, so I really wanted to find coding bootcamp. So So when I came to America, I struggled all these years, and I am very appreciative of the experience that I went through and the and also like the obstacles that I've been through, right? Because that made me who I am.
Right.
But if there was someone next to me guiding me through those steps,
Wow.
right, and
Right.
telling me, hey, if you do like a little bit, like for me, like making choices for myself was the hardest thing that I could ever do, right? Because
Wow.
like I've never given a choice to live. Like
That's crazy.
in terms of like, okay, yeah, so you can save money or you can spend it now. Which one would you choose? I will definitely 100 out of 100. I'll spend, because I've never was never
Wow.
taught to
The
save
choice
money.
and the responsibility that follows. 'Cause
Right,
you didn't
right.
have choices. You
Right.
didn't have freedom.
I'm only living for today, right? And that's what
My
the foster
goodness.
care family is for, and that's what this education system is for.
Wow.
But I did not feel that,
Yeah.
and I did not have that kind of support. So that's the reason why I wanted to create a community where a North Korean refugees, not just North Korean refugees, but just refugees in general, right? And they can come learn job skills, and then eventually we'll find them a job. But the hardest part is that I came to America as a minor,
Yeah.
right? But a lot of refugees come to America as an adult.
Wow. So even less support, right?
There's no support.
No
There is zero support. You are straight forced into a workforce, right? So what happens then is that since you don't speak English,
Right.
you are just forced to go to your own language speaking community, and you just spend your life working there, because now you have to support your family and yourself, right? So there is
Right.
no time for you to study.
No opportunity.
No
to escape
opportunity
that
to-
small community.
right,
how-
right.
No matter how tough that may be.
Right. So it's like a vicious cycle, right? And
Wow.
so I kind of want to help them in a way, just to breathe, and for
Yeah.
me, like what helped me the most is like, of course, like I had financial help,
Yeah.
right, from this resettlement agencies, because I
Yeah.
was a minor, but a lot of people don't get that privilege.
Wow.
So I want to be kind of like there as like a bridge, right?
Wow.
So let's talk a little bit about our LLC.
Oh yeah, sure. Please.
So yeah, Mike, my co-host, is going to be the chief operating officer, or the CTO.
One or the other.
one
yeah,
or the
we're
other.
still figuring things out. The application's still going through.
Yeah,
but
it's still
yes,
pending.
We're actually pulling the trigger on it, which is exciting.
Yeah, making the first step. So what I want to do is actually help refugees to share their story, right? Giving them a platform to share their stories, and hopefully to actually make some incentives of like while they're sharing their stories, like other talents. So we're gonna be the talent, right? And we're going
Talent agency. for
talent
them, right?
agency, yeah, and for them to share their stories and
find opportunities for them to do so.
right, and help them to
earn
make
some
connections
money,
in
connections, yeah.
America, and also like refugees that are in South Korea. It's really difficult for them to move out, because they have to work.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like constantly working. Therefore, they don't get time to explore. They don't get time to visit other countries.
Right.
And I think I feel like, what's like more better than America, right? What like after
What a
escaping
good
North
patriot
Korea,
right here.
right? My blood runs red, white, and blue, my friend.
That's also the color for North Korean flag, but let's ignore that for a second. Kim Jong-un liked this.
Right. Thumbs up. One comment. Welcome back, Charles.
Anyhow.
Yeah. So, like, imagine like a North Korean refugee just in South Korea in a countryside, and then coming to America, like New York,
Yeah.
and like San Francisco,
Wow.
LA.
Oh, that's gotta blow their minds, right? Like it did for you.
Definitely did.
Yeah.
100% did. So
Wow.
so yeah, my talent agency, I'm going to be representing myself and some few other refugees, and hopefully to raise further awareness of what's happening in North Korea, because I usually tell people that yes, my story is very unique, right? It's one of a kind, but it's not uncommon. There are a lot of people who still face the same struggles, and also my story is just a story now, right? I can tell people, but there are countless of other people who are living this story at this moment,
Still stuck in it.
still stuck in that loop. And the more we share the story, the better it will be, and the harder we work, we will open doors for other North Korean refugees, right? For the
Uh-huh.
future Korean peninsula.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, so something that we had said earlier, and thank you, Charles, for sharing this. On the podcast was that we're not going to ask for money. Please share the story.
Yes.
Now we asked the same thing, but we're still not going to ask for money yet.
Not
Here.
yet, no.
But because we are starting a business, and we don't have professional business training, although we have a lot of help from our friends and family. But among the listeners, if you have some talents you would like to share with us by volunteering, giving us advice, or just being a part of this in a way that you think would be really great that we perhaps have not seen yet, please do reach out. Our email info.rubberducking@gmail.com.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah. So please do. We're
That
really
would be
excited to do
amazing.
this. And then we do think that this will make an impact to make lives better for people in North Korea and many other places in the world where the conditions are similar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A juicy slap to Kim Jong-un's family.
That's right. Join us in delivering the juicy slap. I love that. That should be our tagline.
Yeah, right. Alrighty, listeners, thank you so much for joining, and hope to see you guys in the next episode.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.